So, two things for this video: an update on the Sky Tyrant, and also I'm going to talk a little bit about the controversy, the character that may be riding on this dragon. Without further ado, though, let's just get right on into it. And of course, if you like this content, make sure you subscribe. Really helps the channel out. All right, so he has cloth wings now. He also has a leg. I'm really excited to actually show you that, which is probably weird, but we'll get into why here in just a second. But you can see the trigger mechanism will unfold the wings. The wings are attached to cloth. Now, these are a rough cut that I just did out of an old unfitting shirt. That wasn't even my shirt, but I really like how they came out. Of course, I feel like it being a dragon, you know, you'd probably have a little bit of that recurve shape in here, but I don't hate the shape of it either. With that said, though, the leg is actually more of the focus for this video, which might sound a little bit weird, but mostly because of the sheer amount of posability for this leg. So the model can tilt all the way back here and can tilt all the way forward. And actually, I didn't even tilt the upper leg all the way. And it's a double jointed leg. Usually the double joints on a lot of models comes with at the cost of functionality or posability, right? We've seen this in a lot of models that have, you know, had their their heyday and have seen models like this with that double joint. I'm really happy with what I was able to achieve here, most notably because this is a model that only has legs. Its arms are basically the wings with just a little bit of a suggestion of hand or claws up here. And so I wanted to make sure that those legs were as posable as possible so that you could really get dynamic ranges out of it. And so that also, you know, when you tuck the legs back, it is more of a flying mode. You have the ability to straighten the foot out, straighten the leg out, all of that stuff, right? But then the foot itself, the leg itself can also bend further forward as well. So it's got plenty of posability, plenty of forward range as well too. So if it wants to grab things with its foot, which it's not really designed to do that, it's more of a stomping foot, but it can do so. So I'm really happy with the design of this, and I am loving how this is coming out so far. Yes, you can see I'm using blue right now, mostly because I have more blue than dark green pieces, but in reality, in my hypothetical world, he would be using a lot more dark green. So the parts on him at the moment that I believe would be recolored in that dark green would, well, this piece already exists in dark green, so that would not be recolored, rather it would just reappear here. However, this armor piece I could definitely see appearing in dark green, and those two pieces just fit together super well given this upper leg build. So I really like how that was done. It's very few pieces, but it's a very structurally strong leg, so I'm really happy with how it looks. Of course, the Paraka leg would be dark green as well. And my thoughts are, this would probably stay silver, so maybe the Hordika armor behind it would be dark green. But I'm not positive yet, because I like the idea of it being an armored foot. But I think it's kind of tragic that we didn't get many recolors of this piece here. Now, one of my builds currently uses this piece in standard green, which is not the color I plan on making this, but maybe I can move the dark green over to that build as well so that I can justify using the same piece twice. And that way I can afford myself more recolors in my budget, if you will. This is all hypothetical stuff, of course. It's all sort of based on my loose rules, but I think it's important. So, alongside that though, obviously LEGO makes these in dark green, but in 2010 they would probably have the newer version of it. I don't really care about that piece. I am not going to count that as a recolor, just because if I were building these for sale, I'm going to go with the ones that don't break, you know? But that's just me. With that said though, maybe this armor, dark green too. It just depends on if that front armor on the foot is also dark green, but I don't mind the silver. And then, of course, the head itself would be dark green. The other recolors in the set, maybe at least one of the other lift arms in dark green. Several of these curved lift arms here do already appear in that color, so that's always beneficial. But if I can have one of the straight lift arms in dark green as well, that's the introduction of a new piece there, and a useful piece in my opinion. Always good to see Technic compatibility with parts. But I would also like to see these made in white if the foot is silver. So if I keep the silver foot, then I want to keep the white toes. However, if I go with the green foot, then I'll probably do silver toes. If I do silver toes, then these will stay silver to reflect that. Does that make sense? So all the claws are the same color. Currently, the mouth is not existent, but I'm thinking I'm going to try to incorporate a Thornax launcher into the mouth itself. If I can do it without introducing too many pieces, I think it'd be really cool if at the end of its arc, it shoots that Thornax. That's a lot more effort, though. I don't think it's necessarily, you're necessarily getting a lot out of something like that. And of course, you have to understand that that's going to add more parts, more complexity, more moving stuff. And so I'm not positive that's something I want to do, but we'll see. Lastly, I am probably going to go ahead and build this in Studio here soon so that I know how many pieces I can put into the tail build, because I'm aiming for this to be around 400-ish pieces total, but that includes the rider, which gets into our controversy. So let me fold these wings up just like that. And if you didn't see it in the last video, you can actually fold these little hands here back as well. Don't know why that wing doesn't want to close up. It's being temperamental for me right now, but that's all right. So who do I want to ride this? Well, this is essentially after the reformation, right? So Bara Magnus, Bota Magna, Aqua Magna, all that stuff have been recombined to Spherus Magna, so far as I understand it. My thoughts are, and maybe this is, again, controversial, bringing Makuta back. However, I haven't decided in what form. My thoughts are, so part of this is fan service, right? Especially for fans like me. And again, it's my wave, right? So I'd like to, of course, fill out some dreams of my own. But we got the Glatorian Matanui set. You can see him back there, in fact. And I always thought it'd be really cool if we had a Glatorian scale Makuta or Makuta adjacent character to battle him, right? I thought it was a really good idea. If it is not Makuta himself, then my thoughts are it could be some Glatorian character who has basically been possessed by whatever is left of Makuta's essence, and that character is basically now acting as the avatar for Makuta. And when I say Makuta, I mean Teridax. I just simplify it. But yeah, so that's the concept so far. And the idea is that it brings back some form of the Krakan, but in sort of Glatorian head helmet style, if that makes sense, right? So that way you can flip it. It still has that sort of functionality. Maybe one face represents the character it took over, and then the other face you have the classic Krakan or something stylized similar to it. So it's definitely an interesting concept, and I know that it's controversial, as I mentioned. People are having a lot of discussions on my Discord, but that's pretty much it. Speaking of Discord, if you want to check out the Discord, Instagram, or support the channel on Patreon, get some perks. Links for those will be in the description below, and just make sure you're subscribed. And yeah, have a good night, guys. Take care.